Matt Smith wrote in an email to Art Klinger that trucks can't explode, physically impossible. I think it's important for everyone who's got fire concerns to understand that what's inside the tanks are, for all intents and purposes, without oxygen. It takes oxygen to combust. And so the tanks cannot get a spark inside them. They cannot physically explode. It is simply a misrepresentation. So the tanks cannot physically explode. And so the tanks cannot physically explode. So the tanks cannot physically explode. So the tanks cannot physically explode.
Okay, so this is my investigation into the this Albany crash. Okay, so here we go. So what happened? Let's talk about what happened. What happened was on June 2 of 2018 at a little after 8 a.m. on a clear Saturday morning, this XNG tractor trailer with a heavy hazmat high-pressure quantum trailer loaded with about 1,500 pounds of natural gas at 200 psi crashed at mile marker 141 on I-87 northbound, very close to the Albany, New York Capital District. This pressure is about 400 times the pressure of utility gas coming into most city and suburban homes. So this truck hit a guardrail and then rolled. For some reason, it lost control, and we're not exactly sure why, but we're going to show you the evidence. So the truck was making a lane change, and then the driver says he doesn't remember anything after that. So he was passing a vehicle. He's going from the passing lane into the regular driving lane. So he was moving from the left to the right, doing a lane change, and he hit the guardrail, and he was the whole vehicle rolled 270 degrees, which is almost completely all the way around. 270 degrees this vehicle rolled, and the crash took out 12 box beam guide rails, 16 posts, and 2 delineators. So this right here, this is showing you the Albany Capital District and basically where this accident happened. There's the Albany Capital District up there. Egg is like over here somewhere. The governor's mansion is over here. And this vehicle is making a lane change from the passing lane over into the driving lane, but went off the road, skidded along this guardrail, destroyed most of the guardrail, had to be replaced, and then ended up in this in the ditch over here, right by this hotel. Here we have a overhead picture. This is showing you a 1/2 mile evacuation zone as recommended by the emergency response guide whenever there is a fire or a leak. I've shown you H's are homes, G is gas stations, I is industrial area, M is the motel, and O is office space. Now, this is interesting here because we can see, this is one of the ways in which we can see that the emergency response guide was clearly not followed. When we have a potential release of gas from a gas truck, there shouldn't be any road flares used. But here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like 4, 5, 6, at least 6. Here's another one that's not lit. 6 road flares that have been lit. Right here. And here we can see the damaged guardrail and then the truck that's on its side. Okay, so this is the emergency response guide. They call it the Orange Book or the ERG, and almost every first responder in the United States and Canada carries a copy of this with them. Police officers, firemen, paramedics, they all carry this so that they know what they're dealing with. And here is, if you can see this, UN 1971, if you can see it right up here in the corner, right up here, UN 1971, there we go. And ERG 115, and here over here, it just says we're eliminate all ignition sources, no smoking, flares, sparks, or flames. Here's the vehicle on the side. Wow, that is just so amazing. One thing I want to point out to you that here are the tanks or the sets of tanks, they're in groups of 3. And if you notice, these holes on the top, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Inside here is a thermally operated pressure relief device. So heat will activate this pressure relief device because heat increases the pressure inside the tanks. So under normal conditions, okay, if this thing gets really hot, like let's say that in a wreck like this, there's a diesel fire. That's a very common thing to happen, is a diesel fire in an accident like this. So what's going to happen is the tanks heat up, the pressure relief device activates, and then the gas, high pressure gas, is going to be vented out. It's supposed to vent up. If you read the special permit that these things are issued under, the gas is supposed to vent up. Well, that only works if the truck is standing upright. If it's laying on the side like this, the gas is going to come out where? It's going to come out this way. And we had lots of first responders walking around this area here in harm's way. It was potentially a very dangerous situation had there been a fire, or another reason why those tanks had vented. And these tanks have vented in prior rollover accidents before. The plumbing vented, as in the 7/11 2018 crash in Exeter, New York, Otsego County. Okay, this is the officer's diagram of what happened. I have a slight... I think he overall did a very good job in this diagram here. I don't completely agree with this one right here, the bottom one, and we're going to show my modification coming up here.
I'm Sarah Hashimoris for Smart Trend News. Quantum Fuel Systems Technologies Worldwide is one of today's worst performing penny stocks, down 8.3% to 55 cents on 1 times average daily volume. Approximately 977,000 shares have traded hands today versus 30-day average volume of 952,000 shares. High volume often signals a change in trends. Shares of Quantum Fuel Systems Technologies Worldwide are currently trading below their 50-day moving average of 66 cents and below their 200-day moving average of 93 cents. Smart Trend scans for speculative